Hello students, myself Pankaj Musyuni. I am M.Pharm in Pharmaceutical Drug Regulatory Affairs and Management and also an advocate by profession. Today we will discuss about intellectual property rights and industrial innovation, and you will be able to understand the various type of intellectual property rights and its protection. Intellectual and industrial property, the term generally refers to the patents, trademarks and copyrights. Briefly, a patent is a statutory grant of monopoly granted by the government for a limited period of time, which an inventor can exclude others from making, using or selling his invention. The right is absolute as long as the validity of the patent is upheld. A trademark, on the other hand, does not derive its value or indeed its validity from a statutory grant. The right to the exclusive use of a trademark is derived primarily from the common law, in that it must be properly used by the person claiming ownership, and such use may be challenged by another even though there is a federal or state registration. Registration is merely a procedural tool in that it serves as a notice of use and claim of ownership. A copyright is a statutory grant given to creators of artistic or literary works so that they might enjoy the fruits of their intellectual labors for a period of years without fearing plagiarism or other copying. Know-how is a term widely used to describe the accumulated knowledge of a person, a group of persons, or in some instances a corporate entity. It describes the general intelligence concerning either the manufacturing or particular steps in the manufacturing of a product or products, and embraces the experiences of years, largely empiric, that is generally claimed to impart particular qualities of elegance or superiority to the product manufactured in that manner. Know-how, if not patentable, is carefully husbanded by the owner and usually passed on early to those who need to know in order to continue the production of the product. In general, it is a knowledge that is common but that involves a particular application within the production procedure to accomplish its beneficial results. Coming to the trade secrets, on the other hand, are generally those bits of knowledge or ingenuity that may well be patentable but for reasons best known to the keeper of the secret are not imparted to the general public. One explanation for the keeping of a trade secret is that if it is exposed in a patent, it can only be monopolized for a short period of years, after which it can be used by others with impunity. As long as the secret is kept a secret, its use can be exclusive for an indefinite period. The law recognizes and protects genuine trade secrets. Each of these subjects is discussed subsequently, with emphasis being placed on patents because they represent the most likely area of industrial property and intellectual protection for the industrial pharmacist. If we discuss some general concepts about IP rights, that is intangible but can be owned like real property, can be bought and sold like real property, can be used by owner, can be rented or licensed like real property, can be protected like real property against infringement, but usually not on balance sheet, difficult to value. The IPR cycle relates to creation, exploitation and its protection. Different forms of IP covers trade secrets, patents, design, semiconductor, database rights, geographical indication, plant varieties and farmers' right, utility models, copyright, confidential information, trademarks or brand, and publicity rights. Intellectual property refers to creations of mind, invention, literary and artistic works, and symbols, names, images, and designs used in commerce. One product, many IPR, like patent for the fountain pen that could store ink, utility model for the grip and pipette for injection of ink, industrial design that with the grip in the shape of an arrow having visual appeal, and trademark can be provided on the product and the packaging to distinguish it from other pens. Creativity is generally ability to think, come up with an idea, design new inventions, produce works of art, solve problems in new ways, or develop a new idea based on an original knowledge, novel or unconventional approach. Now coming to patents, what is a patent? Which is the limited monopoly rights conferred by the state and provides the rights to exclude others from exploiting or using the particular invention, and it should be novel, non-obvious and must have industrial application. It gives right to exclude others from using your own invention, and owner has the qualified right to use the invention as a conditional grant, balance of rights and obligations, subject to other laws of land granted to owner of invention and assignee, and a patent protects the following aspects: how things work, what they do, how they do it, what they are made of, how they are made, and benefits of patent covers. It prevents others from copying the invention, can be licensed to others under agreed terms. The public gain knowledge of technological development and technically improve products which benefits the society. Owning a patent gives you the exclusive right to prevent others from commercially using your invention for up to 20 years from the filing date, and this is only valid in the country or countries for which the patent has been filed as is in force. Beyond those countries, any third person can use the invention in principle without repercussions. Coming to the criteria of obtaining a patent, important is novelty, which is destroyed by prior use and prior publication. Publication may include patents, journal, website, reading in society, newspaper articles, and oral disclosure without obligation of confidentiality. Another one is inventiveness, that is non-obvious to a person skilled in the art, and there are various tests to determine how to test the inventive step. Another one is utility, which satisfies legal requirement and industrial applicability for which the invention must be commercially implementable. If we discuss about the patents in India, then there is a category of what is not patentable, which includes frivolous, contrary to natural laws, contrary to public order or morality, mere discovery of a scientific principle, abstract theory, mere discovery of a new form, new property, new use of a known process, machine or apparatus, mere admixture, mere arrangement or rearrangement of things, method of agriculture or horticulture, method of treatment, mathematical or business method, mere scheme, method of performing mental act, presentation of information, and traditional knowledge. So, a patent can be filed by meaning of a complete specification or provisional specification, and it is very helpful to file patents in upcoming field of technology which are not generalized, market the invention, file patents to ward off competitors, create fortress of patents, maintain patents, and licensing and cross-licensing of the products. Now coming to the requirements of patentability. To be patentable, an invention must be new, useful, and non-obvious to one skilled in the art to which the invention pertains. To be new, the article must be novel, that is, of a novelty requiring more than the use of journeyman skills in the field to which the invention applies, and newness alone does not support patentability. The requirement that the development not be obvious in the main criteria for patentability. An invention or development may not be obvious for several reasons. The results obtained from the use of the development are unexpected, that is, they are outside the general theory pertaining to the combination of various ingredients. This concept is also related to lack of obviousness that might come about the way of synthesization, with unexpected results arising from the utilization of two or more known features in a combination, resulting in something greater than a mere sum of known facts. The invention may relate to a new compositions of matter, as in the synthesis of a new chemical entity, which must not be an obvious variation of the prior art compounds or composition. The invention might also be a new approach to solving technical problems, or even for the production of a new plant strain. To be useful, the invention must be able to be reduced to practice and must perform in a predictable manner in accordance with the claims made for such performance in the patent application. For other than pharmaceutical inventions, utility is really a problem. The United States Patent Office has taken an increasingly stringent position with respect to utility data for pharmaceuticals, particularly those intended for the treatment of serious illness. The claims for utility should be written clearly and concisely with as much as detail as possible to prove that the product will perform in a uniform manner with a predictable result. Patent coverage can be obtained on compositions of matter, apparatuses, new process of manufacture, new article of manufacture, and asexually reproduced plants. For the sake of completeness, it should be mentioned that design patents may be issued. These are generally for non-functional elements of an article of manufacture. The period of design patent exclusively is much shorter, running usually for a period of 7 years. Finally, in addition to being new, useful, and not obvious, the invention must not be barred by having been previously known, used, or sold publicly in the United States, or the patented or described in a publication anywhere in the world. before the invention by the applicant or more than 1 year prior to the filing of the application obtaining a patent. Since strong proof of the date of conception is the inventor's best insurance for obtaining his patent, he should keep careful notes, preferably in a bound notebook, giving a brief description of the invention and the manner in which it is expected to work. This record should be dated by the inventor and should be witnessed by at least one another person who is able to understand the invention, often in interference or a litigation involving two or more claimants. This early record can be controlling. An interference is a procedural device used by the patent office and is declared when different inventors have applied for the same invention. Since uncorroborated testimony of the inventor as the date of invention is not admissible, a failure to make early disclosure records as noted above can lead to the loss of valuable rights. The attesting witness might have to give testimony at a later date, and therefore the fullest explanation of the invention and the manner in which it operates should be given to the witness, since he will later have to describe in detail that which was explained to him. Although it is not necessary to reduce an invention to practice, there must be in the application enough detail to enable one skilled in the art to practice it. Patent applications for pharmaceuticals generally are not filed until the utility of the pharmaceuticals have been determined, and this, in a sense, is reduction to practice. When an invention is made and sufficient data gathered to prove it useful, the next step should be a disclosure to a patent attorney, who will then follow several prescribed steps to obtain the patent. He will usually want to do a search of the prior art in an effort to determine novelty. Such a search is not required by the rules of the patent office, but a careful patent attorney will want the information so as not to waste the time and money of his client or at the time of patent examiner. Once satisfied that the invention has all elements of patentability, the patent attorney draws up the application, the principal portion of which are the specification and the claims. The specification is a detailed description of the invention, including journal and preferred versions with necessary supporting data when applicable. A specification also may include drawings, graphs, or any other aids to the understanding of the invention. If the prior art search has uncovered references, these may also be included in the specification, and distinguishing features of the invention for which patent is sought should be set forth. All of this is designed to enable one skilled in the art to understand the invention and to employ it. Perhaps the most critical part of the application is the section containing claims, which appear as a series of numbered paragraphs setting forth the scope of the patent protection sought. These claims are important because when a patent is granted, the claims form the basis of exclusivity and determine whether another has infringed on the issued patent. Beginning with the first of the numbered paragraphs, claims are presented in the order of the broadest protection sought to the narrowest embodiment of the invention. Since the claims determine infringement, they should include all of the elements of the invention, because no patent protection is accorded subject matter disclosed in the specification. Only subject matter is specifically claimed in the claim section. Once all specifications and claims are written, the necessary formal documents, including an oath by the inventor, are completed, an attorney is appointed, and the application is filed with the patent office and receives an application number and a filing date. It is thereafter examined by a patent examiner, who is generally a person trained or skilled in the art relating to the invention. Should question arises in the mind of examiner, he asks in writing for clarification or limitation or other remedial steps. These are usually called office actions, to which responses by the inventor are invited, indeed are mandatory, if the patent is to be issued. Following these actions, the application is allowed in all of its parts, in some of its parts, or in a restricted way, or it is finally rejected. Since the benefits derived from a patent are manifold, certain restrictions must be kept in mind both by inventor and by those who would use the invention. A patent grants the right to exclude others from making, using, and selling the invention, but this right might be restricted if the patent is subordinate to others. For instance, a new chemical entity that has been granted a patent may be taken by a second inventor and combined with another compound to form a new and useful compound, the properties of which were not obvious to those skilled in the art. Thus, to practice the teaching of the second invention, one would of necessity have to reward the original inventor. Another important thing is licensing, which is a delicate endeavor today, since there has been decision in the antitrust area which tend to restrict the types of license that might be granted. For instance, it has been held in certain cases to be a violation of the antitrust laws to license an invention in only one area of the marketplace and not in another. For example, to license the use of the invention in oral dosage form to one licensee and in parental dosage forms to another licensee. In attention to these important interdictions, which at this writing tend to become more and more restrictive, could lead to the imposition of fines based on the licensor and the licensee, or in more aggravated cases, the loss of patent protection entirely. If there is more than one inventor, that is, if two or more individuals have contributed to the conception and or reduction to practice of the invention, each contributor is separately named and becomes a co-inventor. The important thing to remember about co-inventors is that each may separately exploit the patent unless there is a contractual agreement among them to act in the concert. Therefore, one having an interest as a licensee in a patent for which there are co-inventors, especially if the interest is exclusively, should either obtain a license from all or have the non-contracting inventors agree on the licensing document to the exclusivity of the license granted. Finally, it should not be overlooked that issued patents in any particular field are a rich source of research data, and further, because countries foreign to the United States may issue patents earlier than the US Patent Office, foreign inventions should be monitored as they are often the first indication of new technological development in the United States. Now coming to the trademarks. A trademark is any word, name, symbol or device that a manufacturer or trader places on its goods to distinguish them from goods manufactured or sold by others. The validity of a trademark is tested by its proper use, not by the fact of registration. The registration of a trademark may be accomplished either in a state having a trademark registration statute or at the federal level. To be registered in the United States Patent Office, the trademark must be used on goods that have actually traveled in interstate commerce. Thus, the application for a trademark must await the first use of that mark in interstate commerce, the date of which along with the date of its first use anywhere must appear on the application. The trademark must not be descriptive of the goods or any of the properties, although it may be suggestive. It must not be so similar to prior registration as to cause confusion as to the source of origin of the goods. It must not be immoral or deceptive, and it must not utilize the flag or insignia of the United States or the portrait or likeness of any living individual without that individual's consent. Trademark protection extends over a period of 20 years and is renewable indefinitely as long as the trademark continues to be used by its owner. Ownership of a trademark is transferable by assignment and the use thereof is able to be licensed. A trademark represents goodwill. The considerable value of such goodwill often cannot be determined in units of absolute dollars. For instance, if by some quick of massive misfortune all the Coca-Cola bottling plants in the United States should burn down today, there would be no question that because of the extensive goodwill in that trademark alone, the necessary financing could be had to begin the rebuild the plants tomorrow. A registered trademark may be infringed by others who use the same mark or a similar mark on the same or a similar goods or on goods that travel in the same channel of trade. The legal determination for an infringement is whether the second user of the mark confuses the buying public regarding the originator of the goods on which the mark appears. Since the axiom in the trademark rights are gained only by the proper use, it is possible to have an infringement of an unregistered mark. An action for such infringement is generally couched in terms of the law of unfair competition, of which the trademark laws have uniformly been held to be a subdivision. A word trademark is a name. It is a special part of the language having unusual characteristics. It should always be used in conjugation with a generic or descriptive term. For instance, Librium brand of chlor digipoxide. The use of descriptive or generic term preserves the function of the trademark as a symbol pointing to the source of origin and not as a descriptive term for the article itself. The trademark might be rendered invalid if it is not used at all or if it is used improperly, that is, if it falls into the common language to describe the article. Prime example of trademarks that have been lost by such improper use are aspirin, cellophane and escalator. Trademark owners jealously guard their rights and more popular trademarks become the subject of letter to publishers or printers to remind them that the trademark should always be printed either in all caps or at least in initial caps, generally with quotation marks and never in the possessive. A claim to trademark rights is generally printed by the claimant on the goods and in advertisements relating to the goods. Prior to federal registration, the symbol TM is generally used in conjugation with the mark. After registration, the symbol or the phrases trademark registered can be used. These notices serve as with the patent notices to tell would-be infringers that they adopt this mark at their peril. Infringement and unfair competition actions may be brought in United States district courts in case of federal registered trademarks or in state courts on courts of unfair competition. Damages are awarded against infringers based on an assessment of that damages that the infringement has caused to the goodwill of the trademark owner. A trade name for which registration also is permitted is distinguishable from a trademark in that the trade name identifies the manufacturer or trade rather than the goods themselves. For instance, a trade name identifying a manufacturer, Coricidin is the manufacturer, well-known brand product for the relief of symptoms of cold. Similarly, coming to the unfair competition, the law of unfair competition is almost as old as the common law itself. Essentially, it is the effort of the law to the referee in the marketplace and to maintain fair and open competition among traders. It covers a vast array of commercial wrong, some of which, that is, the patents and trademark laws, have been codified. Complaints in the area of unfair competition generally seek relief under the principles of both equity and law, that is, they seek specific performance or specific non-performance injunction, which is an outgrowth of the ancient laws of equity, or they seek money damages, law, or both. In all of the jurisdiction in the United States today, both law and equity relief can be sought in one court rather than in separate courts, which our common law adopted from the ancient English practice, but which has now been uniformly replaced by the single jurisdiction system. One possible grievance in an unfair competition action is interference with a contractual relationship. Such interference could take the form of commercial disparagement, that is, disparagement of the name of a company or its product, the hiring of an employee to gain insight into the prior employer's business practices or customers, or some other inducement of a breach of a contract by one party to the detriment of another. The law of unfair competition also provides for protection of know-how and trade secrets, which are as much as a property right as a patent or a trademark. Although the theft or disclosure of these is actionable, anyone innocently receiving knowledgeable of a trade secret or know-how in the unusual or usual course of his business may practice such knowledgeable without impunity. This points up the peril of the attempting to keep commercial secrets, since their only protection lies in their freedom from theft. For this reason, when secret information is received or given, it is usually done on the basis of a confidential disclosure. It should be given in writing with the receiver acknowledging and promising to maintain its confidentiality. Finally, the law of unfair competition prevents the planning of the goods of one trader as being those of another, as in false advertising or in misleading statements made by sales personnel. Recent decisions have narrowed the scope of this type of protection in these elements of an article not protected by the trademark registration may be copied with impunity. Thus, non-functional features, even though they are unique with the original user, might serve to indicate origin, cannot be held exclusively unless the originator can show that these non-functional features have gained secondary meanings and are attributed in the minds of purchasers with the originator only and with no one else. In other words, it serves to identify the goods as coming from a particular manufacturer or trader itself. The trademark can be legally protectable name, logo, symbol with which people associated a product and its reputation and indicates the source or origin of goods or services, which assures consumers of the quality of goods bearing the mark, and basically a prime instrument in advertising and selling. When you establish a business, goal is to build a brand that people will remember, that is trademark. It is a word, name, slogan, symbol, design or any other designation that identifies and distinguishes the source of a product or service. Accordingly, the question arises, what can be a trademark? A name, a logo and or a combination thereof, a mascot, a shape, a color, a sound, a smell, a slogan, an hologram, a motion, a signature, a taste, a number. In most cases, it is a combination. The Trademark Act recognizes word mark, device mark, collective marks, certification marks, service marks, and essential of a valid trademark includes it must be graphically represented, must be distinctive, distinguishable, must not be descriptive, must not be deceptively similar to known well-known marks, and must not be generic. Trademark rights are territorial in nature and may be registered through national trademark offices, regional trademark offices of some jurisdiction, and Madrid system of international registration, wherein rights are obtained by registration or by use, common law rights. Coming to the advantages of trademark protection, the exclusive right to use of the trademark in relation to the goods or services in respect to which the trademark is registered, to obtain relief in respect of infringement of the trademark, and if you have a registered trademark, you can put the symbol next to it, warn others against using it. And registration is a prima facie evidence of the validity of a trademark. You can write to assign it, franchise it, and let other people have a license that allows them to use it. Protects your brand from being used for the same or similar business by any other person, thus discourages others from cashing on the well-built goodwill. Now another important IPR is copyrights, which is a bundle of exclusive right given to the author or creator of the original or certain derivative works. Protection is accorded to literary, dramatic, musical and artistic works along with sound recordings and cinematographic works. The right includes in the bundle are right to reproduce, right to distribute, right to communicate the work to the public, right to make adaptation of the work, right to sell or give or hire, right to make any cinematographic film or sound recording in respect of the work, right to claim authorship of the work, right to prevent mutilation and distortion of the work. Why copyright is? Because it is given to the authors of the original work to reward them for their intellectual creation, to incentivize them for their efforts, to encourage them and others to create more, to create an atmosphere conducive to creativity. The scope of copyright extends to the literary, dramatic, musical, artistic, cinematographic films and also to the sound recordings, and the nature by which it can be protected as soon as the work is created and no registration is required as such. It only extends to the expression and not to underlying idea of the work. In terms of extension and IT revolution like recordings, broadcasting, audiovisual works, computer programs, digital databases, internet, web, cable and satellite TV, Indian Copyright Amendment Bill has been passed by Rajya Sabha on 17th May 2012 and passed by Lok Sabha on 22nd May 2012. An important quoting of medical references from journal and book is copyrights, all rights reserved, do not use, reprint, reproduce or distribute without prior permission. This is to avoid verbatim reproduction, that is plagiarism, likely to cause copyright violations, which should be always acknowledgeable or to obtain prior permission, and abstract summary may be written in one's own language which can quote the source also. One important aspect is industrial design, which is one of the species of an industrial intellectual property and is protected under the Designs Act 2000 with Design Rules 2001 amended up to 2008 in India. The Act seems to promote and protect the design element of industrial production, aim to enact a detailed classification of designs to conform to the international system and to take care of proliferation of design related activities in various fields. The design refers to features of shape, configuration, pattern or ornament, composition of lines or colors is applied to an article by an industrial process, manual, mechanical or chemical, and limited to visual appeal of the article, protection for design having commercial or industrial value. The benefit for registration, as it provides protection for 10 years which is extendable by another 5 years, and registered proprietor can sue for piracy of designs in any court but not below the district court and can claim damages, injunction, account of profits, delivery of or destruction of infringement articles. One important aspect is also geographical indication, where name or sign used on goods originating from a specific geographical origin or location and possessing qualities, reputation or characteristics that are essentially attributed to that place of origin can also be assigned or can be protected under the meaning of industrial intellectual property rights. Now considering one important aspect of intellectual property right, that is copyright. A copyright is a statutory grant of monopoly for a period of years. After that, the copyright material falls into the public domain and can be used by anyone. copyright protection may be granted for works of art and literature, and a copyright carries with it, as does a patent, the right to exclude others from reproducing the work of art or literature without compensation to the copyright owner. A copyright is obtained by the filing of an application on which is stated the nature of the work. In the case of published literature or music, a copy is filed with the Library of Congress. For works of art such as painting and sculpture, generally a picture will suffice. The danger inherent in the publication of a copyrightable work lies in the fact that rights gained through copyright might be lost if a proper copyright notice is not placed on the article before it is published or otherwise made public. Thus, a musical composition performed before an audience or a book disseminated widely without a printed claim of copyright almost invariably causes that work of art to fall immediately into the public domain. Since it is so easy to lose copyright, competent advice should be sought whether a new work of art or literature is to be made available for public sale or use. The Copyright Office in the Library of Congress supplies the forms necessary for copyright application, but since application is an after the fact event, advice concerning proper notice should be sought at an early stage in the development of the work of art or literature. These copyrights are commonly claimed by the use of different phrases like copyright year, name of the copyright claimant, and symbol may be used as name of claimant. So we discussed all about the intellectual property rights and its provisions. There are different intellectual property rights which can be covered under patents, trademarks, geographical indication, trade secrets, as well as copyright. So it's important to consider all these arguments or all the consequences, how we can protect our intellectual property rights. Thank you so much.